Hello, my friends. This is Lada from Astrolada.com, and my guest today is the exceptional astrologer, healer, GCR specialist, family constellations, and family karma specialist, Marina Stoichkova. Hello, Marina.
Hi, Lada. So nice to see you.
I'm very excited about this topic because Jupiter is transiting my fourth house from the ascendant, which is all about family. And I even started going to lectures about family karma, family healing, family constellations. And I want to hear everything you can tell us about through astrology and through psychology about the family karma and the family connections.
Yes, this topic is always interesting because it affects us and the people we love the most, our families. So this is extremely deep, and honestly, sometimes we can get lost into so much information, like what should we look at, which are the most important things. So that's why I decided that it would be helpful for people first to give them some kind of concrete ideas, like what to look at first, like which are the main priorities, how to kind of see the hierarchy of importance. And of course, we will also demonstrate a little bit of this approach so that people would see how it actually works in reality. And of course, thank you so much for agreeing to use your chart. We will show people on your chart how we can make those analyses. Basically, this is ancestral astrology. What we will talk about is how we can explore those interactions within the family between different family members, how we can find either repetitive topics or something which goes like a line between the different generations, and what is the importance of this. And immediately I want to say that this is how you can find aspects or planetary positions which are really important in the chart. And otherwise, if you're just looking at one chart separately, you may miss this. But when you are able to look at, for example, your chart, your kid's chart, your parents' chart, then you may find things that otherwise may not seem so important.
Oh, you mean if it's a repeating aspect, you see where the real problems are if you give them to your children and they have them in your parents. So for example, you might have your sun square Uranus and opposition Pluto, but only the Pluto aspect repeats. So this is the issue you truly are stuck at. So you keep giving it generationally.
Yes, but there are also nuances. Like, yes, one thing is when we pass exactly the same aspect. For example, in our family, we have such a thing. Like, my father has a square between Uranus and the moon. I have a square between Uranus and the moon, and my daughter has the same aspect. So none of us has been able to, fix this energy so far, or at least the family needs this energy in this particular form. So it's being repeated.
Oh, I
But
like that. So it might be
yeah,
needed actually. Okay.
oh, yes, absolutely. But there are also cases when we can see the type of connection being changed between the generations. For example, my father has an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter, but I have a sextile. So something has shifted in the energy, the type of energy is the same. Like, again, Sun Jupiter topic is important, but the way it manifests is different. So we will explore such nuances and, specific things, how you can see those hidden lessons or messages in the chart, and how it can help you.
I love this topic. Actually, Marina is starting a whole a three-day course, a workshop, you said.
Mhm.
Exactly. She will teach you that for anyone who wants to go in depth. And you can either just take the course or you can take a course plus a personal reading between you and family members, or the course, the reading, and two or three GCR sessions, three
GSR
GCR
session. Yeah.
sessions, which is actually working on the family karma and working on the issues. And like Marina said, if you work on yourself, your children start improving as well, whatever problem they're there.
Yes, since you are mentioning that, I just want to, because I'm also talking about this, but I thought a little bit more at the end, but let's just say it now so we don't forget. if your child is having some kind of problem, especially we talk about little children, not if your child is 40 years old, that might be a different story. But if you have like a baby, a little kid, or even a teenager, and they have some kind of problem, the first thing you should do is to try to see if you have ever had similar problem. Because chances are you will find something either exactly the same as an energy. As a form, it might be different, but as an experience, as an energy, or you might have like an inner resistance towards this type of energy. For example, let's say your kid is really vulnerable, sensitive, so children are picking up on him or bullying him or something. And you may remember that either you have been through the same experience, or there is a part of you that really can't stand such energy, like the weakness, the vulnerability. Of course, from psychology, we know that this is always a part within us that we don't accept, when we have such a strong reaction. So what you should do first is you should work on this on your own with yourself. And there are two options. Either the problem will be resolved for your kid after that, or you will be at least much more adequate and you will be able to support them unconditionally and also to do the wise steps in reality so that the problem can be fixed. So it's always helpful to check this, like, how do I feel about my kid's problem? And it could be anything. It can be very objective, like a health problem, like a problem at school, or anything at all. So it always happens for a reason.
This is a great thing to say. And if you fix it or start resolving it in yourself, you'll see the same happening in your child.
Yes, because the energy flow goes from the generation, so from the parent to the kid, not the other way around. So when you work on this yourself, the flow that you are passing to your kids is different. It's much cleaner, so they don't need to experience those energy distortions.
Oh,
So,
it's just like some parents do the opposite. They haven't been able to achieve something, or so they really like kind of push their child to do it instead. So they expect back the energy from your child.
oh yes, that's really not a good thing. It's better first to fix yourself, to work on this, like, and accept that maybe you weren't able to achieve something and it's fine. And when you are neutral, then you can see things more adequately. And you may see, okay, but my kid really has a talent in this. So then you will be able to support them or to provide the right environment. And without this pushy energy, they may really follow this path if that's for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's really not for them, you will just stop torturing yourself and them as well. Because if they don't have the flow for it, nothing will work out from this, except you will spoil your relationship with the kid. Nothing constructive will come out of this.
What you also said, the energy flows from the older generation to the younger. Is it the wrong approach then that many parents, they hope one day their kids will return the cares they did for them, that the kids will take care of them financially or whatever? That's not the right way of thinking. We're not meant to do that.
Oh, that's such a deep question. In general, we should not expect this from the kids. Yes.
So the parent
Because
is the giving part always.
yeah.
We should
Yeah.
expect respect from the children, at least.
Yes, of course, like normal attitude. But if that's the flow we are passing to our kids, like, you own me, like you have to take care of me, this is really unhealthy for the relationship, for the kid, and even for us.
You guilt trip them, and
Yeah.
you poor mom, you moved away from me. Now who's gonna, if you love
Oh, no.
me?
Yeah. That's one of the, it's really such a sensitive topic because, of course, rationally and in our hearts, we all want the best for our kids. But unfortunately, very often we are doing also other messed up things that are not good with positive intentions. But one of the worst things is to make your child dependent on you, to try to solve everything on their behalf, like not allowing them to take responsibility. And the other thing, but it's like the third, to demand.
To become the child.
Yes.
You want the
Which
flow
is not
from them to
rare,
you.
by the way. I work with many people, and unfortunately, this is a pretty common pattern. When the child gets like reversed roles, the child needs to become the parent. Like, this is really, really unhealthy, of course, for the child, but it happens. And of course, we can work on that. Yes. If the parent is like, I would say, adequate, or has this idea, you know, to work on them, even when they realize it, they can change something about it. But if we, as soon as we, as long as we are blind about something and we don't want to see it, nothing can change.
About
So
if you have an ailing parent, then is it a responsibility karmic to take care of them? What would
honestly, it really depends on each case. Yes, sometimes objectively the parent might be sick, or may need like physical help or something like that. But here, what's important is like how you do this, because there are different ways. One pretty common way is to sacrifice yourself, you know, like you abandon everything else in your life, relationships, work, dreams, goals, and you commit only to this. Like, that's not healthy.
and the flow changes from the child
Yeah.
to the parent, and you're depriving this child of future.
Yes,
Even
yes,
if they're adults, the same.
yes, absolutely. What we can do is to keep the connection with ourselves and to know that we also have our own life. And yes, sometimes you can make the choice, but you need to do it, you know, like voluntarily, like not from being forced position, or, you know.
Guilt
So
tripped.
yes, 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 yes. So another thing which is so interesting is actually the what defines the relationship between parents and children. And one of the most important things I have found is first to define the temper of both the child and the parent, because the temper is something which is so foundational, and it's literally related to our nervous system. So those are things or characteristics that we should not try to change forcefully. And sometimes in this child-parent relationship, we kind of try to do that, which is not healthy. So understanding which of the characteristics are really part of the temper of your child and also your own, and learning to respect them, and yes, maybe improve them, but not like, you know, to shut it down or to forcefully break this pattern. This is so important. So that's one of the things that we will explore during the training: how to define the temper, your own, your child's temper, and what are the possible mixtures and combinations, and
Would
how.
that be like phlegmatic, choleric, those
Yeah,
tempers? So like a phlegmatic child, you can never expect them to be super competitive. And you're like,
yeah,
why are you so lazy? Why are you always eating? Like, and if it's a choleric parent who is ambitious, getting things done, it can get very frustrated with a more kid that is just,
yeah.
oh, or the opposite, you know.
Yes, exactly. That's what we will learn, how to define it from the chart and what to do when you find that you have such a combination. And of course, there are many variations. We will explore them. But I will give an example. Let's say that you are a fiery parent and you have a child which has, let's say, very watery energy. It could be strong Neptune, strong moon, lots of water, particular aspects like it. There might be different reasons. One thing which is very common: the parent is doing everything very fast. They are impatient. They are very active. They have tons of energy. The child needs more time. They don't want to rush. They want to, everything is like extended through time and there's no rush. And what may happen, it doesn't happen always, but sometimes, is that because the parent is so impatient, he's doing, or they are doing something on behalf of the child. You know, oh, it's taking you so long to get dressed. Let me dress you. Oh, you are spending so much time on finishing your homework. Let me just finish this and we are done. It will be easier for the parent, yes, but what is the risk here? That you are not allowing your kid to learn. And eventually, especially for the watery kid, they're very predisposed to being dependent. So without realizing it, you are making them dependent on you. And you are not allowing them to learn to first make mistakes, second, take responsibility, and third, eventually maybe even learn to do things a bit faster, because of course, when you're starting to learn something, even the fiery people sometimes may need time, right? So what can we say about the water child? Of course, they will need more time. So we will explore such nuances, like what to be mindful about once we define that you have this temper, the child has this temper. So what are the possible benefits? Because we can always find something positive. And also, what do you need to be mindful about and really try to avoid? And for example, one of the things which are also very interesting for me, when we see the case when there are many similar things between the parent and the child, like the same temper or repetitive aspects, or generally, you see that the energy is kind of resonating. What are the options there? One is, of course, you understand each other, you get each other, you're kind of like on the same wave. So this can be like the positive manifestation. What are the risks? First, it might become too much, like two fiery people together, you can imagine, or two watery people. Imagine what kind of emotions and, connections, sensitivities, perhaps even dependencies there will be. So it's always intensified. But there is also one nuance, which is actually not that rare. When you see similar energy, but for the parent, it's difficult to accept it. Like they're irritated, or they're annoyed, or they can't stand this, or they're judgmental, or, the list goes on. What does it mean? It means that, first of all, you are not accepting yourself. And of course, your child is the best mirror for you. So when you see those qualities in them, what happens is that you are being annoyed or irritated with yourself.
I totally identify.
Yes, because in your charts, there could be such thing with the fire energy and certain aspects. Yeah, but that's a good thing, because one of the most important lessons here on earth we have is to learn to accept ourselves, and eventually and hopefully even to love ourselves. And I think that when we have such case like with you, the child has similar temper, like, we both have, let's say, lots of fiery energy. Yes, you may see the things that you don't like in yourself in them, but at the same time, very deep in the heart of the parent, there is always some kind of unconditional love for the child. Even with all of our distortions, with all of the problems, there could be other layers on top of that, but very deep in the core, there is always this piece of unconditional love. So the gift in this situation is that, yes, on the surface, you can be annoyed, judgmental, even aggressive or anything, but there is also an impulse to love your child. And you also get the chance, by allowing yourself to love them, to accept them, or to try to learn to accept them, eventually it might get easier also to learn to love yourself and accept yourself.
So children are healing us.
Yeah, absolutely. They're actually our best teachers, I think. So really, really, sometimes they're harsh teachers. In other cases, not so much, but yeah, it's really interesting. So understanding your own psychology, your temper, and also your child's temper and their psychology is one of the first steps to know the dynamic of the relationship and what is recommended to do and what you should try not to do. Like what are, those blind zones that are risky, and it would depend on the particular combination. So for each combination, there will be like different things to explore.
Yeah, I remember even reading Rudolf Steiner, and he said, if your child is melancholic, more earthy, this you'd have, don't try to make him look at the life as fun and make him think that his problems are not important. Speak with him about the difficult things in life. Speak with him about sadness, about depression even, or about, this is hard, or how something happened difficult to someone else. They would appreciate that rather than trying to lighten them up, come on, move, or, so you have to have this approach.
Exactly. This is like giving respect. First of all, giving a place to whatever the experience of the child is. and giving them a real support by not denying this or resisting this or trying to run away from it. And also something to calm here a little bit, a parent in such situation is that if the child has so much earth energy, for example, and they are really melancholic, for them, those states of, sadness or depression or seriousness, they don't feel the way they would feel for you if you're, for example, a fiery Jupiter person. Like for the earth person, this is a normal experience. And that's what they are like, for them, it doesn't feel like, something.
You have to be in euphoria all the time. That's their normal.
That's their habitual state.
Yeah.
Yes. And for them, this is not that dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So we should not try to, deny this or forcefully change it. And again, if you're bothered, first you need to work on yourself rather than trying to change your kid. That's always the principle. So yeah, very interesting work. If you want, we can look at your chart.
Yes, quickly.
Yes, and show some interesting stuff. Of course, we won't have time for like a complete analysis, but we will demonstrate the logic. So let me just see, because I have many charts here. So this is your chart. This is Kai's chart. And this is Mila's chart. Okay, we have everything we need. Plus we have the Synastry, but we'll see if we will get to this. So what I notice here, let's show your chart. So here, okay, we don't see the balance of the elements, but the fire element dominates.
Mm-hmm.
Clear. So you have how many? 6 planets? 6 fiery planets. Yes. Yeah. 6 fire, 3 air, 1 water. So no earth energy. So obviously the fire will dominate. The masculine energy is very strong. So we can expect that you will be very active mother, very, you need lots of dynamic energy. You don't like the boring, repetitive stuff. You don't like to be limited, to be controlled, to all of those things will be difficult for you. The moon is also in a fire sign, which is very important for the mother role. The moon has really nice aspects. The only thing is the square with Uranus. You also have it. So, this energy. I also know it very well. The truth is that for motherhood, this isn't a supportive aspect. And what we should know with this aspect is that we should not try to be the traditional type of mothers. It just won't work. The only thing is you can make yourself more miserable, more nervous, more irritated, and it still won't work. Like you can't be this, really patient, limited, traditional conservative mother. Not your story. But on the other side, we see that the North Node is really close to your moon. So the mother topic or the motherhood generally is something important for you. And generally about, the path, your direction, your development. So learning to recognize, I would say, the feelings of other people, because it's in 7th house. So generally, the other person, to be able to give them a place to nurture them, and all of this is also part of the part of your lesson. So we won't go into details. Let's take a look at Kai's. He's the first one, so we will start with him. What do we see here? So Kai also has lots of fire energy. 3 fire, but he also has 3 earth and 3 water. So he's bringing some earth energy, which for you actually is a good thing. By the way, in my case with my daughter, we have the same thing. Like I have lots of water, no air. She has lots of air, no water. So this is also very interesting. We will talk about those exceptions.
It's fill in the gap. So the universe doesn't like gaps. It wants to fill in spaces. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And again, we have options here. One is that this is actually a good thing for the parent or for the kid, when there is someone next to you who is bringing the energy that you are missing. So it can help you, to get in touch with this energy, maybe learn to embrace it a little bit. And of course, from another point of view, it can be very unfamiliar for you and you may not understand it. And you may try to, push this energy away, or it may feel, when we talk about the earth, what is the energy? It may feel limiting. It may feel kind of, putting you in some kind of form or restriction or something like that.
He likes to do things the same way. He likes routines. I don't like routines. I can't teach them any routines, but he's teaching me routines with the earth. He
The
likes
earth.
it a certain way. I'm like, every time things are done different way.
Yeah. So, by the way, another important thing when we are exploring ancestral astrology or child parent astrology, we always need to start first from the chart and to understand each chart separately. So this is also something important, not to jump straight into synastry or compatibilities. First, you need to understand like what are the themes in each of the charts. And in Kai's chart, we have something interesting. There are differences in terms of what's happening on a conscious level or more like externally, and something which happens on a more subconscious or a deeper level. On the more obvious level, I think that he will try to be very independent. The sun is together with Uranus, actually has a burnt Uranus. It's in Aries. The fire energy is strong. So this can make him,
He wants to do everything alone. He doesn't even get to show him how to do things. No, I know better. He's the boss and he does everything alone. He cleans the house. What can I tell? He cuts the grass. He on his own initiative. I don't even ask.
Yes. This is like more the conscious energy, like what is more on the surface. But if we look at the details, we will see that there is another part of him which is actually really vulnerable, and I would say even predisposed to some kind of dependencies. First of all, he has the moon on his ascendant in a water sign in Scorpio, which can get really attached, really anxious, really worried about the people he loves, maybe first of all for the mother, but probably one day also with women or people, or especially women he loves.
He keeps coming and saying, "Mommy, I don't want to die." I said, "Who's dying?" In Scorpio. It's like, "Mommy, please don't die." And he needs to sleep every night next to me, and he's almost 7. But every night he's so attached.
Yeah. He is afraid of losses, but also he has this part of him which is very dependent, actually. The other thing is with the South Node. The South Node is in Pisces, in 4th house, very close to Neptune. So this also brings very strong attachment, first of all, to the family environment, the mother. It brings so much sensitivity, so much vulnerability. But part of the problem is that he has the other part, which is very, masculine, independent, like I will show you how things should be done. So he has actually some kind of inner conflict. This, strong part, which we can say is the more masculine part, actually, it is the masculine part, which is I'm doing on my own, everything I will show you. And the other part, which is actually very attached, very vulnerable and predisposed to dependencies. So for him, it's not easy internally, I think. And he may even try to compensate, because usually for boys, for men, and also this Sun-Uranus aspect is really strong. So he will try to, demonstrate more this part. But at the same time, this vulnerable, sensitive energy and, this kind of like depending on someone, especially the women and the people he loves, is also there. And another nuance here is the opposition between the moon and Mars, which also plays a major role. So this also shows that one of the important things, and you see how it's obvious that this aspect is like a key aspect in the chart, it's moon on the ascendant, Mars is in 7th house or angular houses, like even visually when you look at the chart, this aspect somehow stands out. And I think that this will be one of the life themes for him, to get out of this dependence, to get out of, in the occult astrology, this is called to get out of the womb of the mother on an energy level, not so much physically. I think that physically he may try to, I mean externally, he may try to demonstrate the opposite. internally, there is this dependence. Another thing which is interesting also, the Sun and Uranus, those are people who are also on their own, doing things in a unique way. On the other side, the Moon has a sextile with Pluto, which means that subconsciously, actually, he can fit to some kind of collectives or groups of people. He can find such an environment, that would somehow fit his needs. But this Sun Uranus aspect, this is the one that is, but I should be different, I should do things in a different way. But subconsciously, actually, so that's the story. Like, consciously he wants to separate and be different and unique. Subconsciously he wants to blend and connect and be part and belong. So that's,
I see both, definitely.
yes, and it's so interesting. But his task, like a lesson, like a life direction, is more to get out of this dependence and to really step more into, I would say, to follow more the Sun and Uranus energy rather than the Moon, Neptune, fourth house. Like, he needs to, of course, get out there. The North Node is in 10th house, and to be more independent.
I've noticed people with South Node in the fourth house sooner or later kind of detach from their roots and their family. They're not on the, hopefully in a good way, not in like the parents die young or something like that, or they stop connection with them. But this happens anyway.
I'm an example. I also have the same position of my nodes in my chart.
Oh.
Yes, and definitely there was a dependence. Like, first of all, there was lots of support from the family, and this type of dependence, like, it's on a specific level, like, you always need them to help you with something, and they're always there for you, and they're always the usual stuff. But at the same time, I really felt this impulse, but I need to be on my own. I need to do things differently. So of course, it's also other stuff like the Moon Uranus aspect and so on. But I completely agree with you that people with the North Node in fourth house, actually, when your child has the North Node in fourth house, this is very important to consider for you as a parent also, because it shows that they're even more attached to the roots, to all
You
of
mean
the family.
South Node? South Node.
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say something else? No, the South Node. When the South Node is in fourth house, you as a parent need to consider this also, because the child is even more connected to all of those family patterns, family scenarios, the relationship with the mother. I would say even the state of the mother that she is in. So, yeah, there is definitely a strong connection here. Let's see. For those repetitive aspects or kind of like similar themes. So what I noticed, for me, one of the most interesting is the Sun-Pluto aspect.
Exactly, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
We both have a hard one.
So you have the opposition, he has the square. And I think, was it right? Mila has a sextile. Mila has a sextile between the.
Oh, she does? Oh my God.
Yes. So in her chart, the energy is already transformed. So that's also interesting. Yeah, she already has the sextile. So you have, but that's a serious, really, like, it seems like in between having them, even though it's a really short time, you have been through some kind of intense period, probably Plutonian
Exactly.
transformation.
Pluto squared my sun, pretty much. Almost,
Yes.
and Mars squared Mars for sure.
So something has been kind of worked or transformed. So she has this aspect, but in the softer form, the sextile, which is much easier to process, of course, compared to
a very Plutonian thing happened, exactly. But I handled it. That's why Millie is born with. Wow, okay. That's fascinating. I'm clashing heads with Kai more for sure, but she's not strong-willed and as
because in him actually both of you see this energy, or feel, it's more accurate to say that you feel this energy, you know, the Sun Pluto energy, you know, this strength, this force, the need to prove something, you know, the fighter energy, the fear of dominance, the fear of, you know, someone telling you what to
do.
So those are the themes that you both share. And you can also kind of like teach each other, you know, to kind of soften this energy. But also the more you work on this energy, the better it will be for both of them, but especially for Kai, because he has the square. So, and it means that, you know, the energy is kind of, you know, tougher or sharper in his case.
Fascinating. I've learned to forgive everything Plutonian, and to it's been a great journey. I'm glad. I'm sure I still have to work on it. It never ends, but sorry, you can hear them in the distance playing.
Well, we are talking about them, so they are allowed to make noises, of course. Yeah. Another thing, you both have a trine between the moon and Neptune, which is one of those
the moon and Neptune.
Yes, you both have a trine. In your case, it's Leo, Sagittarius, so the houses and the signs are different, but it's still, you know, like the same type of connection between the planets. So this is also something that you share. However, in your case, it's a fire trine. In his case, it's a water trine. So in his case, you know, this energy is a bit more intense because the water energy, you know, it intensifies the moon and Neptune. But what also intensifies the energy for him is the fact that you have this aspect. So those are one of those cases in which you can actually not see right away that certain aspect is so important, but when you compare it with the other family members, you see, wow. I will share one example, which is very interesting. I don't have the charts in front of me, but I will explain it very quickly. I was looking at Whitney Houston's chart and her daughter's chart, Bobby Christina, and they both have Neptune in 8th house squaring Venus. So not just Neptune square Venus, but also Neptune for both of them is in 8th house. And they both have shared this, of course, the talent that such an aspect can bring, like performing, music, sensitivity, but also complicated emotional stuff. And they both die in a similar way, in the bathtub, drugs, alcohol, and so on. So this is, you know, a concrete case how the child has repeated literally the story of the mother. And when you look at the chart of both of them and you see this aspect, you understand that this is something that is like, you know, the theme of their life, especially for the kid, because when your parent has had the same energies, and especially, unfortunately, when they can't handle this energy, like in Whitney's case, obviously she hasn't processed this very well, if that's how she has ended. So for the kid, that's a really heavy burden. You know, it's like the task is becoming really,
Now she has to fix the karma of her mom and hers as well. So if Whitney has been able to overcome that, the daughter would never probably have gotten to the same end.
Yes, I think so. So this is something we should pay attention to. And it's not only about, you know, repetitive aspects, like there are other things, and we will discuss them in details during our training. So how to find such indications, which initially, well, you look, okay, aspect is an aspect, or okay, a planetary position. It doesn't seem to be like, you know, wow, this is like a ring bell, pay attention to it. But when you compare it with the other family members, you just see that this could be like a mission for the whole family. And here I want to clarify something. Like, I don't think that we are part of certain family, you know, out of nowhere. You know, oh, that's just the lottery and we are just burdened with this. Like, if we are part of certain family system, it means that it matches our energies. But so we are never victims, like we are never victims. However, when you are part of the family system, you are sharing this responsibility. Like you have your own path, and the family overall also has some kind of direction where generally the whole family flow is going. So when you see those connections, first you know what you can work on to improve your life, to improve your kids' lives. And second of all, you understand better the right direction for yourself.
I can give such an example. My dad has angular Mars, which means Mars on an angle close. So makes it very strong Mars in his first house. My brother, older brother, has Mars conjunct ascendant, again, angular Mars. My older and younger brother both have Mars on an angle conjunct. My son has Mars on an angle as well. So
Yeah.
we're dealing with the issue of the very initiative, but also anger issue, but starting stuff as well. They are starters.
Mhm.
And we have at least, and my husband has angular Mars. So there is this theme. We're working through something Mars-like. And my daughter has Mars on angle as well. First
Yeah,
house.
she also has it in first house. Yeah. So see, this is very important because then you understand that in Kai's case, this Moon-Mars opposition really plays a major role. And for him, one of his important lessons or directions is to kind of like follow his own will, and first of all, it happens through kind of like detaching from the family. So he may do the opposite things of what you are saying or what you are expecting of him, or he could be stubborn, or like sometimes it may feel like he's provoking you, and you may think, okay, if I want him to go left, I should tell him to go right. Then I will know he will
Pretty
go
much that. We always tell him the opposite, and then he does it.
yeah. Yes, but this is actually a good thing for him. And of course, yes, you as a parent, you're the wiser one, you should navigate this process. But when you see such thing in the chart, you understand that for this child is not helpful to follow everyone, to always do what they are told, or, because it would make him more dependent. And he actually needs to go against that in the opposite direction. He needs this type of like an energy separation, like a psychological separation, which is one of the steps towards our building up or developing our individuality. So this is actually a good thing.
All right, good. But everyone around me has anger issues. That's the Mars. We don't have in our family depressions pretty much. No one has Saturn on angle or strong Saturn, but the anger issues, everyone shouts, they don't speak normally, everyone shouts. It's
Yeah. Well, if we look at your synastry, yes, this is the synastry between you and him. So Mars is in conjunction with the sun. So your sun and Mars are in conjunction with his sun. So his sun is basically activating your Mars. So, and your Mars is burnt, it's really strong in Aries. So, yeah, but again, by the way, your case is really interesting because I think it's one of those cases when the child is really your mirror. First of all, you have very similar temper with the fire energy, but second of all, your suns are in conjunction. You have less than 2 degrees orbit.
Looks like me. Everyone confuses him with the pictures when I was little with him. We're mirrors. Exactly.
So you are actually one of those cases that we talked about at the beginning, where the child can show you basically yourself, the things you don't like about yourself.
And the things I like, I also recognize.
And also the
Like,
things you like.
that's
Yes.
nice, but also the things I don't like.
Yes, exactly. And this is your opportunity also to learn to love yourself more through loving him.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I loved it. I just have one question. I've never seen in any of my family members or Matt's family Saturn square Venus. Both my children have it within a degree. Where is that? They receive love, they encourage, they're not judged for their appearance. They're none of those things. And I don't understand where this is coming from. Neither his grandparents have this aspect, their father. No. What would you say about some aspect that repeats for the children, but it's nowhere in the back, story of
Probably this is something new. Like this is something that hasn't been building up, through generations. This is like a new line. Something new is being added in the family flow, in the family system. When we talked about, thank you for bringing this up, by the way, because it adds like the other part of what may happen. Yes, so we talked about when things are building up, you see repetitive themes, tendencies, like everyone in the family pretty much needs to resolve something similar. But yes, this is also possible that the child comes to the family and they are bringing up something new. This is happening when there is a lack of something, or when the opposite is over, like it's exaggerated, it's too much. Basically, they're bringing some kind of balance, like something that has been missing and needs to be balanced. The first thing that comes to my mind is maybe it's the need to set some kind of boundaries between people that love each other. If in the family system, there are no strict or concrete or clear boundaries, like everyone is everywhere, and they they are in the stuff of the other person, and like if there are no then that's how I see it. So they come with this Venus Saturn energy, so basically they are here to change something in this pattern, maybe even to teach also the other family members, because for them this won't be so habitual. They will insist on this. They will not tolerate it so much.
Yes, because we have nothing in possessions. My husband's, his husband, my parents, they could enter my room. They still come to the house whenever they want without calling. And I do the same to their room, but they are very strict about their possessions, about their room, their rules. And I'm like, where is that from? Don't be stingy. I'm like, I'll give, and I can see that about, all right, those are the rules. Yeah.
It's very interesting that they both have it. So it means that, something really needs to change on this level. So they are both bringing it up.
So they're not working out some karma that we carry of no low self-worth or something, or not feeling loved. It's not so much that.
No, I think it's more about the boundaries.
It's
more about, some kind of space, some kind of, yeah.
This is absolutely fascinating. I totally love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marina, for this fascinating example. And now I know how to look for similar aspects and configurations. You shared so much through this example with us and gave me clarity a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Not to judge him, yeah, especially when he gets rushes too much or is too independent, that it's like wants to do everything alone. Actually, or wants to do the opposite of what everyone tells him. So that's part of his path, obviously.
Yes, but for him, this is his way of getting out of this part that is more, like attached, dependent, vulnerable.
He has a very strong side to that as well. Actually, he would cry for hours for me sometimes. It gets ridiculous, from super independent to super codependent. He switches like
Exactly. It's obvious from the chart, yeah, that it's like two polarities, and it's really not easy for him to balance this. So, yeah, it's somewhere in between, as usual. In his case, I think because the North Node is in 10th house, the connection with the father is very important and helpful.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes, I think that the role of the father can help him to get more balanced. Because with women, he already has this attachment, like their things can get more messy. But
he does get attached a lot into pretty girls. Oh my God. He walks behind them, like the girlfriend of my younger brother, or even if she's 25, or if he likes a woman or a girl, he caresses her combs her hair, gets my jewelries and gives it to her, like Venus in Pisces with the South Node, trine Moon in Scorpio, gives my jewelry, and they come back and say, "Oh, he gave us your jewelry." It's he has this side. So, but I like seeing both the hard and the soft side in him, and the independence. So it makes for an interesting human. It's not. I'm a bit two-dimensional only with 2D with fire, air, like open book of it. Wow. There is more intricacies and there is more complicated characters, actually. I find them, I always fall for more complicated characters that the mishmash of energies.
Yeah.
That's what I feel drawn to.
Yeah, very interesting charts, and you can really see how, they can bring something new for the family, for you with this earth energy that is also teaching you something, showing you something. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I will check my daughter after that alone, now that I have this knowledge. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you'd like a reading with Marina, or if you'd like to take the course that she will be teaching, which is 3-day workshop, I'll put the link below in the description to see the dates, or even to watch it after that, which can be recorded. And or you can have an option, a reading together with the course, or even GCR, which is a special technique for healing all the root causes energetically, without you having to do work. Marina will be doing that, so this is the good side.
Actually, GSR is really helpful for all of this. That's why I love this, and I offer this as a combination, because once you see the themes, with the different charts, the different family members, then you can understand, okay, this is something I should work on. This is something I should transform. And with GSR, that's exactly what we do. We work on those energy distortion that are passed from previous generations. So when we fix it, of course, first of all, we do this work for ourselves, but it's just a secondary benefit that the energy is shifting also for our kids and the kids they have, and so on.
That's
So,
a new healing modality dispensed to humanity that Marina is basically doing. I've tested it. It helped for my flying. Now I can fly for my claustrophobia that I had on planes only for some reason. And now she did one session for me, and I'm happy to announce. It's been, thank you so much, Marina, again. Thank you, everyone. I always love whenever you share information with us. And yeah,
thanks for having me.
To the next great ideas you have to present to us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lada.
Bye bye.
Bye.